Good morning. Today I'm going to talk about Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 27. I'm going to talk about how God describes these three places that the Israelites were living in and the result of that. And my thoughts on that, how it kind of reminds me of today's society. I don't know. Okay, so first it talks about, I'm going to look at my notes. It talks about the ruined cities, how people that live in ruined cities will be killed. And then it talks about how people who live in the country are going to be killed by animals. And then it talks about how people who hide out in mountains are going to be killed by disease. So what that kind of remind me of was like, I don't know, you guys let me know if this kind of like sits in with you too. It kind of remind me of like our society like right now. Like you know how people say like, oh, back in the old days and all this and all that. Like it was all about morals and values and tradition, a husband being a leader of the home, and then a wife being a submissive, a helpmate, right, and a nurturer, given the time and the circumstance to be able to do those things, and how the children that were privileged, right, to be able to witness those things, right. See, my parents work, all right, both of them, like, so but I still got to see other families, right? So I'm still privileged in a way that I still got to witness, my friends, and their families, and how, because that was our era. Well, anyways, I know I look young, but I'm not that young. But only in spirit. Okay, so anyways, so what that reminded me of, it's like nowadays, like our children, right? Like the children that are teenagers or that they are working right now, like, as far as like having a job, we don't see the motivation that, let's say, that we all once had. Like, you know what I mean? Like we don't see that motivation anymore. And you know what I mean? I'm just like, how are the kids of today's society, the ones that are, let's say teens and early adults, how I look at them and I'm like, they are not struggling with this adjustment. They're kind of like rolling with it, rolling. And I'm like, that's good. That's resiliency, right? That's good. That's good. But then I started to think more. I'm like, it reminded me of like the ruined cities in Ezekiel, where it's like, if that's all they ever know, that's all they ever known. Like they grew up in the era of like devices, of like, you know what I mean, the internet, distractions, and famines and COVID and all this chaos. So like chaos is like normal to them, as opposed to, let's say, our parents that were born, let's say, 1940 something, 1950s, 1960s, you know what I mean? Like let's say our parents that that grew up in a different era, that us, let's say, in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, you know um we got to see the way they raised us. And the way they raised us was like I said, by those morals and those values. And even though, let's just say that we didn't grow up in a family where the woman got to stay home and the husband got to go out to work, we still witnessed that, like I said earlier. So it's like us, when we grew up, we longed for that. So there's like this adjustment where we're like, it's just not happening. Like we're not seeing it. Like what's going on? You know what I mean? So then we are going to be in an essence, I guess, like the people of the country that live in the country, that are going to create that little environment for themselves. You know what I mean? But then are going to be eaten up by animals. And then like the people that live in the mountains, that hide in the mountains, are going to be like the people that were raised with the morals and the values, that gave that to their children. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's so disconnected from the reality of back then and now. Like it's like different. It's a different world. It's a whole different world. And and they are getting to see that. So it just reminded me of those three things, those three generations, like our parents, and then us, and then our children. And and how we see things, and how we were raised, and how we are choosing to create our environment, and what we're choosing to do with that. And it just reminded me of that. But anyways, later on in Ezekiel chapter 33, the Lord talks about, like, even if you hide in the mountains, let's say, like, the people that were, that knew all the morals and the values, let's say, like us, like, even if you, like, are living in the country, you know what I mean? Creating your own type of environment, or let's say, like, nowadays, or the children that, this is all they've ever known, so it's not a big deal to them. Like, if we don't go out and help others in distress and help those that are lost, then we are lost too. We are even if we create the safe environment that we call safe, that we try to reenact what we were raised with, and try to ignore what's going on in this world, all this chaos, all this, come on, we all can't deny what's going on. You know what I mean? But I think there could be a balance, in the sense of, like, yeah, we can have, like, that country type of feeling, but then when we go out into the world, help those that are in need of help. All right. Well, I'm going to end it here because I don't want it to be that much longer. And also read Matthew, where it talks about the Pharisees, how, like, they just taught everything, but inside they weren't good people. You know what I mean? So read that, and it just kind of correlates with, Ezekiel chapter 33. Well, anyways, I hope you have an amazing day, and bye.